So Johnny Varell and I are standing in a field that might not be a field very soon from now, because right over our shoulders is a huge facility that is Georgia Pacific's paper plate and paper cup manufacturing facility. There's a 4-lane freeway right over there. Johnny has lost farm ground to urban and suburban encroachment. Developers come out, they pay a lot of money. This is the Sun Belt after all. It's Tennessee. More people are moving here. Industry is moving here. We're talking now about adjusting your farming business in light of all that. So tell us what is going on.
Yeah, I mean, like you can see, there's always some new development coming out here. They're always looking for more and more land for industry. That seems to be where we are. It's the industry is what
Not so much homes.
That's right.
But the only thing is, everybody that works in that facility right there is going to live somewhere.
That's right. That's right.
So
I mean, the future is going to be more and more, right? And I think everyone accepts that. Sometimes you don't want to see that, but I guess my play on this is how can we work with it? How do we stay in with the people, the developers and stuff like that, so that they call us when they have some land that they want us to work until they do develop it. And so it's just like this ground we're standing on here. Next year, this could be a factory right here. And we know that up front. So that's just part of it. But, you look at, our farmers always trying to plan for the future. We're building more grain bins because we're making more yield, right?
Yep.
So you don't ever want to build too many grain bins or too much infrastructure.
In one location.
Yeah. Or, that you might not be able to fill again one day. So, it doesn't sound like a lot, but you lose 200, 300, 400 acres at a time sometimes. That's a big deal.
Yeah, that could be a grain bin.
That's right.
So we talked about this with Chad Henderson about trickling fertility when you might be having your fields turn into concrete. And it's not that he's trying to rape the land. It's just that he had landowners say, we're in an option. It's going to get sold for development, but in the meantime, you're still farming it. We don't know what the time frame is. So he trickled out fertility. It's like, well, wait a minute, I might have this 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. And so he said, I still got amazing crops. I wasn't going out there thinking I'm building this for the next 30 years. I went out there, I'm building it for this year's crop. Do you have to think that way?
Same thing. We're doing a strictly in-furrow fertility program on this right here. Just putting all the nutrients we can right in that furrow just for that bean crop that year.
This year. It looks like it's working.
Oh, it's the beautiful bean crop. We get a good rain, we'll be in great shape.
Okay, so how many acres do you think you have lost in this last, you've been farming roughly 20 years since you came home from college. How many acres do you think you've lost to develop?
Probably about 350 acres just in the last few years. It's probably going to be that much more in the next few years.
Yeah, the pace looks like it. What's your first adaptation is try to find land somewhere else?
That's right.
Has that worked?
Yeah, you just constantly looking, and like I said, you just kind of got to move in an area that you don't think will develop. If there's power lines and water towers, that's not really where you want to look to start farming.
And big highways.
Yeah.
Okay, so you moved a little bit west and south probably?
That's right.
So you went west and south. Then all of a sudden you're the carpetbagger, you're the encroacher, you're the new encroachment.
Yeah, you just try to find people that are going out of business or land that's getting sold and just try to work with people like that. It all works. I'm not the only one losing land, other people do too. So it's a big issue right now.
You're losing land that's owned by landlords. You haven't given up anything that is owned by you or your father.
That's right.
And when will that day come? Well, there will be a decision.
Yeah, hopefully we never have to see it. So
yeah, but you will see that.
Yeah.
I think one thing that farmers do, Johnny, and I'm a farm guy at heart, is I'll be damned, I'll never sell. There comes a point when that might be dollar foolish. Really.
Yeah.
So what's your thought on that?
And I guess if that point ever comes up, me and my dad will talk and just try to figure out, maybe we take that farmland and go reinvest it somewhere else to get more farmland, something like that. Farming's in our DNA, in our genes. It's hard to get away from it, but where my family's been farming for 60 years doesn't look like it did 60 years ago now either.
Yeah, I'm not being in any way, derogatory, but to pretend I'll never sell, at some point when its farm ground is valued at $5,000 or $10,000 and development ground is $100,000, it does become a business decision.
That's right. It does become a business decision at that point.
So one thing also about your grain setup, you've got a very large grain setup. And did you look at the next 20 years and say, for the next 20 years, I'm probably okay here? And then what's the depreciation on this? And then I move down the road and do a new modern grain setup?
That's exactly right. That's how we looked at it. You always figure on 20, we hope to get 30 or more years out of it. But, even if we don't pick up ground, if I lose 300 acres, if I can take points I'm learning at different classes, different seminars, different trade shows that I'm going to, and increase my yield on the ground I still have by 3, 4, 5%, I can make up that too. So that's another way to look at it too. Maybe not farm more acres, just try to be more consistent on what I got in efficiency.
What about the idea of getting along with this? Because, there's the old thing, I was here first.
Yeah.
Do you have that? Do you have any of this new development that comes and wants to change? Hey, I moved here, now you stop farming. Do you have any of that?
Yeah, you see that. Like I said, airplanes is a big deal for us. People see the airplanes flying, they always think we're putting out something that's going to hurt them, whether it's fertilizer or cover crop,
So,
right?
so an aerial application on crop dusting.
Yeah,
They
it's very tough.
and so that you get some screaming and some yelling.
Yeah, but I think one thing I've taken away is every time like the chamber here in Jackson asked me to come speak, every year I get to go speak to like their leadership team, leadership class. I always try to go speak at that and tell our side of the story too. And that way everyone sees from a farming standpoint, we're out here just to try to make it with everybody else. We're out here trying to make
You're a business just like they're a business.
and we're a factory just like a factory that's got concrete walls. We got employees, we got machinery, we got everything that they do. We just raise a crop every year, not produce it in one day.
You know, our farming critics don't like to they call us factory farms, but you're right. You're a business. You've got employees. You are in the business of producing something, and also you're good for the economics. Do you talk about the economic side of it?
Absolutely, it's very big. It's the largest industry for Madison County and Tennessee.
Okay, so one of your tips would be if you get asked to be part of the business community, rather than giving them the finger and saying hell no, you say go and ingratiate yourself with them.
And show what really is put into the economy here in Madison County. And I mean, you look at it that way. Usually when I start off the class, I always ask everybody before I start, who in here was raised on a farm? You might get one person out of 40, but if I say whose parents was, you'll get 5 or 6 more. And when I say grandparents, most of the class raises their hand. So in 3 generations, everyone's pretty much been removed from agriculture.
Yeah, but you talk about the economics of it, and you don't position yourself as poor little me. You position yourself as I'm a businessman out here.
I'm here to work with y'all.
Yeah.
Just like, right here, we're farming in the middle of some factories right now.
What's something that the average farmer doesn't think about because they are pretty far removed from urban and suburban sprawl? What do you think that like they would never even you tell them a story when you meet them somewhere like, oh, I never even thought of that. What do you deal with that they wouldn't even think about?
Traffic,
Yeah.
impatient people. I mean, it's the same thing that you do everywhere else, but when you're moving down the road on the same county roads that we've been driving now for years, and the county roads are really major corridors now.
Yeah, because
you really
there's a housing development.
Yeah, but the flip side is where y'all are staying right now is 8 miles from here.
Yeah.
A lot of times y'all go to different farms across the country. Y'all might be 30, 45 minutes and not even be in a city close to Jackson.
Yeah, there's some convenience.
So there's convenience that goes with
We went
it.
to a nice restaurant last night, 11 minutes from your farm. You probably wouldn't see that in some parts of the world. So there's some good and some bad that comes along with it. Okay, get me out of here. We're talking about farming when you are in the path of progress. We covered this once with Chad Henderson. I think there's some other tips that Johnny can give us, but the main thing here is this is happening to more places than you might think, especially kind of in this Sun Belt. So any other tips for our listeners?
I just say always try to keep the public informed of what we're really doing.
Yeah. And realize that if you position yourself as a business, not as the poor little me, maybe it actually might go a little further.
That's right. That's right. I think Chad's done a great job working with all the people that are building in his area.
Last question from a business standpoint. If this developer comes to this person right here that's your landlord, because you don't own this field we're standing in, and offers them a huge chunk of change, do they ask you, hey, Johnny, I've got a raft full of money right now. I'm going to go buy some farm ground. Do they come to you and say, can we partner?
Yeah, a lot of times they will. They say, do you know where some land is that we can reinvest in? And I mean, that's kind of how the partnership works. It's a give and take. You just got to always be able to roll with
It
it.
just means you got to go further.
That's right.
So they go down the road, buy land, and then you become their operator?
Yeah.
And has that happened?
Yes.
That's happened.
Yeah.
So in other words is don't ball out the landlord for selling to Georgia Pacific. Stay in their good graces and say, I'll partner with you at the next place.
That's right. Absolutely.
Doubt it. His name's Johnny Verrell. My name's David Mason. We're talking about farming right here, strategies and adaptations when urban and suburban encroachment is on the way, and it seems like it's happening more and more. Damian Mason, Johnny Verrell, ExtremeAg.farm.